Now it's time for a magical rant. When I was I think I was about 40, close to 40, I got involved with a little group due to a friend of mine who were exploring their spirituality. And at the time, I wasn't really what I would call a spiritual person. I wasn't involved in anything that involved any type of religiosity or beliefs in deities or anything like that. I had been practicing my own idea of Mahayana Buddhism and throwing in a little bit of Zen that I picked up and throwing in a little bit of Vajrayana. Wasn't really interested in occult stuff. So I got kind of interesting. I got involved with this group. It was called Wisdom Warriors, and it was founded by Tori and Rachel, who I still dearly love. If I could make a plane flight to Australia, I'd move there and marry her. I mean, she's just an amazing woman. I love her. Anyway, and there I met Maria, who is another woman. Who's amazing, just wonderful person. Love her dearly. Wish she was still here in Arizona. I regret ever parting with her. We're still friends. We love each other, but she wants to live on the East Coast, and I hate it there. I mean, I like a lot of people there, and I like some of the places there. I just don't want to live there. It's just not my kind of place to live. And, I don't mean to offend anybody. Don't take it personally. It's just a preference. I'm a Western guy, and I don't really like to go west of Arizona. I lived in Colorado. It was okay. I didn't really like it. It's too cold in the winter. Okay. And New Mexico, I don't like New Mexico. So anyway, I live in Arizona. I don't like California anymore. Too many people. The beaches got too many people. Don't like that. Want nothing to do with it. Anyway, so that's my other states wrap, except for the Northwest, which I really like, but it's too green. That's right, it's too green. All that green is full of pollen, and I get sick from it. And it's too wet, and that gives me a lot of arthritic pain. So there you go. So I'm in Arizona, and I love Arizona. Arizona is great, very diverse. I love the desert, and I love living in the city. I live in Phoenix, and it's great. I love it here. Anyway, so I started hanging out with this group, and I got involved in magic, and I really liked it, actually, and kind of took to it like a duck takes to water. And we did a past life regression, and I found myself in Ben Franklin's body. I don't know what that means. It's probably a hallucination. I think a lot of this stuff that we experience in magic is a hallucination that we create. Paraphrenia. And it's not harmful in most cases. Some people are extremely deluded. I can't believe the people that believe in these conspiracy theories, that believe in all this fucking nonsense. It's just nonsense. They believe this shit. All the alien mythologies, like this guy Lazar. Hey, this guy's a fucking phony. He's fucking hallucinating. Okay? And all these other things. I mean, they're fun. They're good to play with, maybe to do some magic and get some results. I think it's great for that. I really do. And, but all this crazy bullshit, people believing in astrology. Yeah, there's some great coincidental information you get from things like that. Numerology and astrology and other things. And divination is very useful about the past and the future, I think. I've had a lot of good results with divination, in doing magic and in looking at possible outcomes and possible occurrences from the past, future, present. Okay. So around 1992, 1991, I had broken up with Maria, or she broke up with me or whatever, and I was homeless. I was living on couches. Friends took care of me. They were great. I was jobless also. I finally got jobs and started providing for myself. And started doing a lot of magic. Started doing magic every day. I was doing a lot of eclectic stuff, a lot of voodoo type stuff, a lot of that Santos and Santeria type stuff. It was all bastardized. It wasn't a pure tradition of anything. Anyway, I got a lot of results. I started getting results up the ass. So around then, I was living in Scottsdale along the canal in an apartment with a really crazy chick who was living a secret life as an escort and drinking Listerine. I guess she was like an alcoholic or something like that. That's another thing. All this shit about labeling yourself as an addict or an alcoholic or something like that kind of dooms you to be an addict or an alcoholic, even though, I've found, and I was, a very habitual user of drugs, and that includes alcohol. And separating alcohol out from drugs is really fucking stupid, in my opinion. There's no sober. Sober means short of being entirely recovered, in my opinion. It's, you're clean if you're abstinent. That's what it is. And then you get your life together, because most people use because they have emotional or trauma problems from their childhood. That's why most people take drugs. And, like the military guys that were in the war and got shell-shocked and got the fuck knocked out of them by the experience of war. Okay? So trauma is a big cause of addiction, I think. I don't think it's a disease. I'm pretty sure it's not. I think that there's no scientific evidence addiction is a disease. Anyway, off of that topic. I've already discussed that way too much. So around this time, I was hanging out at Mountain Temple, Mike Crowley's Mountain Temple, up on the mountain. A cool place, one of the greatest occult libraries ever. Mike was a dirty old man and a real abuser. I quit bringing women up there because he'd get them off, start talking to them, mesmerize them a little bit, and grab their breasts or their butt cheeks. It really turned everybody off. It was really terrible. He was really bad. And we hammered him for years about that. He was a friend. It's just that behavior was deplorable. Anyway, at that time, he had a camp, an OTO camp, and was getting an oasis. And there was several of the local OTO people there, and they were really nice, and I really liked them. And so I decided I'd probably like to join the OTO. So I got initiated into the OTO. And it was really cool. We did my Minerval in the first degree first night. That was like 5 or 6 of us. I thought it was very cool. The initiation and the mythology and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was very cool. And so I did that. And then at those initiations, I met Stephanie Williams and Bob Williams. And during this time previous to this, I had found a couple of books on chaos magic. One of those books was Liber Chaos, and in reading that, I totally got turned on. I was like, this is what I've been wanting. This is what I'm looking for. How can I get involved in this? There's a group. So there was a business card in there, and it was of a Mailboxes or Us out in Scottsdale. But anyway, it was Bob and Stephanie. Come to find out, Bob was a Saj alum of the organization, and Stephanie was involved also, and so my cohort at the time was Tony Lee. Tony Lee was a guy who I sponsored in the program, who was sort of a good guy. He was very intelligent, but as it turned out, was full of shit. Anyway, I hope he's doing well now. I think he's up somewhere like fucking Montana or Wyoming or something. He's doing well. Good for Tony. Love Tony, but Tony did some things that caused him to get evicted from the organization. Anyway, so during this time, got involved with the OTO. I was waiting for some magic besides initiations. There was none. There was no magic. And the stuff that was in the Crowley books, it was antiquated. This shit was like 75, 80-year-old shit. antiquated, and I did it, and it was okay, but the results were sketchy. So what did you really have? You had the lesser and greater keys of lesser and greater keys of Solomon, the Goetia. So you had the Goetia. Okay, so I fucked around with the Goetia quite a bit. Matter of fact, too much. I had so many spirits called up that my temple, which was in my little tiny bedroom when I was living with a good friend of mine in an apartment over in Cave Creek Road and Sweetwater, it was so crowded in the room with entities that I had to spend about 2 days banishing them with very powerful banishings. Now, that was one good thing that I got out of the OTO was banishings and some invocations. That was pretty good stuff. Pretty good magic. It was, like my favorite one still is the Star Sapphire. I love that ritual. And the Star Ruby was very good for banishing. Out demons out. Very good. I don't pronounce Greek that well. However, it still worked for me, and I got rid of those entities, and it was like, no more Goetia. No. So that was really about the only magic that I ever saw done. And then at the initiation, it got reported to that no good son of a bitch. And if you don't like what I'm saying about him, go fuck yourself. James Wasserman, who is a no good bastard. Trump-sucking asshole. Yeah, that's right. I'm giving him a pretty harsh ad hominem rant there. So he got all church lady on this, and because Bob was there, and because the doctor, my old dear mentor, Christopher Hyatt, a.k.a. Alan Miller, was there. And they had, Alan put Crowley's coins and a couple of Israel Regardie items on the altar, along with a scarf. I think it was Regardie's scarf. And he put some personal stuff on there. And these guys were carrying guns. I thought it was really funny. Now, neither one of them were active dues-paying members of the OTO at the time. So that was a big no-no, even though the officials of the initiation, who I won't name because they are dear friends and they wouldn't want to be named, so I won't name them, were okay with it. And otherwise, they would have, if somebody like Wasserman would have been there, they would have run Bob and the doctor off, or got a promise for them to pay dues. And later, the doctor did come back and pay dues and did a lot of work to get to the 9th degree through initiation legitimately, which Regardie had given the doctor the 9th degree anyway, with the oath that the doctor would do the work and get the degree. Anyway, I liked a lot of these people. There was one woman in particular who was a horrible meddler in everybody's personal affairs, and she was married and having an affair with one of the guys. It was just... So, I mean, if people have open relationships, that's cool. I have no problem with that. I've been in open relationships and polyamorous relationships. But one thing stands out. You must be honest about this shit. You have to be honest. You don't... you don't be dishonest about this shit. I hit the pause button on the TV instead of the mute button. I do that sometimes. Anyway, you have to be honest about this. And people are not honest with that, or just basically practicing corruption and dishonesty. I don't want anything to do with that. But still, I hung around. I got my 2nd degree. Was not impressed. By this time, I was in the Chaos Magic organization. We were really doing some shit. We were doing some magic. We were getting results. We were doing magic. We were having a lot of fun. We were helping each other out. And Bob and Stephanie were there, and a couple other people that I still love dearly, who I don't see anymore, unfortunately, not because there's any animus or anything like that. Just don't see them. Their lives are more private. Anyway, they and I and others got fed up with this OTO crap because I do not, here comes my criticism. The OTO, by and large, is not a magical order. It is a fraternal order, which is okay. The OTO, there's not a lot of magic in there, done by OTO members. And I noticed when I read the forbidden book that had all the shit that you do when you get in your 9th degree and beyond, we're already doing that stuff in this chaos magic organization. In fact, it was rudimentary magical practice in that other organization. So all the things that I learned to practice with great efficiency, like invocation, evocation, which is my favorite, enchantment, divination, dark night of the soul, illumination, all those realms of magic were covered specifically, and you could go any way you wanted to with them. You could take off in any direction you wanted to go in. In the OTO, there just wasn't any of that in the lower degrees. It wasn't any of that. It was all upper degree stuff. And really, come on, it's kind of insulting to people to do that with them. And what I saw was a lot of these people that were in the organization that weren't in our oasis were kind of militaristic, and some of them were ex-military. I don't have a problem with that as long as it doesn't creep over into everyday life. And so I didn't see much magic. There wasn't hardly any magic being done. And it would have been frustrating had I not been doing the other metaparadigm. So I basically, after the 2nd degree, left the OTO. I didn't quit formally. I just didn't pay dues. Didn't go to any events or anything. The mass is cool, but after a couple times, I mean, the only reason I was there was prurient interest, and I could find that shit on the internet. So why would I go? There's no good reason for me to go. Nowadays, I see all these people in the OTO. Oh, we're Thelema. Come on, Thelema is weak. Now, some of them are practicing sorcery. Some of them are actually doing magic on their own. They're not doing it as a part. And some of the lodges have classes and they do magic and stuff, and that's okay. But it pales in comparison to what I was exposed to and still am a member, an active member of. It pales in comparison. It's like nothing. It's like rudimentary shit. So when people come on with this big OTO, Thelemic, Scarlet Woman, fucking Aleister Crowley, all this crap, fuck that. The Thelema is passé. Yeah, there's good stuff there. Liber Oz is cool stuff, and a couple of things like Liber Vel Magi is great, especially the last verses. They're great. However, this shit is passé. Its day is done. Its time has come and gone. Kenneth Grant did more with his version of it than any of them all put together. And he's dead. So, you know what? The heck with the OTO. If you enjoy that and you're a Thelemite. To me, Thelemite sounds like some kind of an insect larva. So I shun that label. I don't like labels anyway. And I just don't see much magic, and I just see a lot of posing. And it's cool to look cool and, pose and quote the Book of the Law and various other Crowley writings. But let me tell you something. Crowley's passé. He's passé. His day is done. He occupies a great space in the magical revival. I mean, he was instrumental in that. And you can cite how he inspired Gerald Gardner and this and that and this. Right, but that is like 80 years ago. There are many other developments in magic and its practice that have happened since then. In fact, I found the eclectic forms of witchcraft or Wicca devoid of the religious church lady symbology that some people get into. The more sorcerous aspects of Wicca, far superior to the OTO. In fact, I think there's great magic there. And even the people that do practice the religion that have, a very eclectic or even a traditional classical practice of it, I find that to be superior as well. And Gerald Gardner and Crowley were not instrumental in that for the most part, and most of these other groups. Anyway, so there we are. Thelema, if you like Thelema, great. I'm glad you have something you like that. Let me tell you something. Unless you're doing a lot of other forms of magic, there isn't much there. And it's kind of boring, and I find it to be horribly passé. And don't take this personally. It's not a slight on you. It's just, I don't like that stuff, and I don't think it's very effective, and I don't have any romantic connection to it. I don't think it's very romantic. I think it's passé. Anyway, that's enough out of me. It's Wednesday. It's Odin's Day. Have a great day. Don't invoke him too much.